Hey everyone, Jay here. Originally from Kentucky, 6 years ago I craved a change and landed in the Philippines for a fresh start. Never thought I'd meet my wife and start a family there, including our awesome daughter. Curious about our American Filipino life? Subscribe to Jay's Philippines and see how this Kentucky boy navigates life between America and the Philippines with his family. Much more to come.
Hello, I'm Jay with Jay's Philippines. Glad y'all could make it out here with us again today. We got another little video here for you. Quick little update on some of the thoughts about the Philippines and America that I'm going through right now. Stick around. Hope to see you at the end. This comes up often. What is a better life?
But the action on the court was intense, with Southwest Jay Keefer leading his team to an 11-point lead at the half.
I grew up in Kentucky. Basketball was my life. From dribbling a ball as a kid to hearing the roar of a crowd in high school. It was all I knew. I was raised on basketball. It was pretty much everything I did every day for over 15 years. Then life changed. I got married young, had 3 kids, but things didn't work out and we got divorced. Watching life pass me by. Kentucky, alimony, child support, the same routine over and over again. No change. I headed to Florida for a bit, but it wasn't quite the sunshine I needed. Back in Kentucky, the same old routine was waiting. I started watching travel vlogs on the Philippines. Between Ecuador and the Philippines, I knew I was ready to go to one. My dad married a Filipina, just had found out about it, so it made the choice even easier. A year later, I was on a plane, backpack, ready to explore this new world as a tourist. Island hopping became my adventure. Meeting girls was like shooting hoops, easy and fun. A month flew by in a blur and dates and good times. I met this woman, another surprise hit the court. She was going to have a baby. This Kentucky boy, far from basketball court, was about to start a whole new game within 90 days in the Philippines.
She's opening her eyes.
This subject matter comes up all the time. Get your kids to America. Raise your kids in the Philippines. So what is it? What is a better life? America or the Philippines?
Soup.
Huh? What is that?
Soup. It is a girl. She is my daddy.
Well, we're going to dive down into that a little bit today, and we're going to kind of keep it simple. We're going to talk about just a few of the basic things. Safety, family values, experience in life. What I mean by experience in life, just like which life is more fulfilling? Which one would be more enjoyable to get up in the morning and face your day? We all have to go through things in life, but what if you enjoyed your day more? What if getting out of bed wasn't so bad because you enjoyed what was outside the house? With family values, that's a pretty broad topic. It's not just about how the family treats you. Let's imagine if my daughter was here in America and she's living her life here in America, and then if she's in the Philippines. But here in America, if my daughter falls in love with somebody and the wedding bells start coming into play and she's thinking about getting married, young woman, 18, 21 years old, she's thinking about marriage. She's in love with her little American friend, her American boyfriend. What if they get married here in America and it's all blissful in the beginning? What happens in a few years if something goes wrong after a couple children and then the marriage isn't what it was supposed to be? And then the talk of the inevitable divorce comes around. So now my daughter's a young 20-something-year-old woman here in America with children and going to be divorced. She might have to stay where she's at. She may not be able to travel like she would normally get to. There may be a lot of restrictions on the children, custody issues. She could get stuck for many, many years in a part of the country she may not want to even live in. But a few years back, she was so excited to be married, it was worth it. But as a divorcee, she's now realizing it's a nightmare. She gets a divorce in the Philippines, which they don't even have legally right now. But if they separated, broke up, whatever the issue might be in the Philippines, if she was married to somebody in the Philippines with children, she's not losing custody of the children. She's going to still have a family all around her. She's going to be able to come and go. She's not going to get told she can't go from this island to that island. She's going to still get to live a normal life. With the rules here in America with divorces and stuff, it can get very ugly. The Philippines, I'm sure it's not pleasant, but it's a lot stricter, and I need to learn more about it. But on the surface, it sure does sound like if I was preparing for the worst, if she was in the Philippines with a boyfriend, husband, and things weren't working out, I would probably be glad she was in the Philippines with children versus here in America. Having children in the Philippines, she can also get dual citizen passports for the children. As she's got both herself, she'll be able to get their citizenship for them for both America and the Philippines. Family values also, how does society take care of the families? My daughter here in America doesn't get phone calls from the family members. Unfortunately, nobody calls and asks to speak to Jade. I'm sorry, I said the wrong baby's name. Nobody calls and asks to speak to Kiri. Nobody wants to see her on Messenger. Nobody wants to see how she's doing. Nobody asks. I got a few family members that come over, but the ones that you would want to talk, they don't. That's America. In the Philippines, while I'm sure there's many bad scenario family situations, for the most part, family members look after one another. It's kind of a known thing in the Philippines. Family is pretty tight. You won't see nursing homes in the Philippines like you see nursing homes in America. The thought of passing your elderly parent off to a nursing home doesn't even get mentioned in the Philippines. So, as an aging father over the next 20 years, if I wasn't around in 20, 25 years and my daughter's made it somewhere in life, where would I want her to be if she was getting old and say things were going wrong? Well, we all know the American healthcare system isn't one to brag about, unless you're wealthy, of course. Or maybe you're willing to work for a company for 50 years and give up your whole life so you can have a good insurance plan. Many do. If she stays here in America and she gets older and she does want to be an entrepreneur like her dad is, and she wants to do some of the same things I've done in my life, open up a business, do things with family, there's no family going to want to do anything with her. There's no family her age that's really that interested in her. Again, in the Philippines, family members can work together, they can help each other, they'll check in on each other. It's not that way here very much. I know there's outlying families, but most people have their own lives. They have to go work and they have their own problems in the world. Looking at a couple of the potential downfalls because you're preparing for the worst, hoping for the best as a dad is, as I am anyway. If she was here in America and I'm over in the Philippines and she's going back and forth, maybe she wants to go to college here for a year and I'll let it happen. I'm in the Philippines, I'm 65, 70 years old. And, oh, Dad, I just want to go to America for a year and go to school. That's risky. It's not just going to America for school. She might fall in love. She might not want to come back because you know what happens when you're young and in love? You do stupid things. It's risky. Would I encourage her to go explore all these amazing options she has? I won't. Sometimes giving somebody too many options is not necessarily a good thing. Sometimes they don't understand how it's not always better somewhere else. It might be just great right where she's at in the Philippines. Unfortunately, due to a lot of American values, it's a clear winner. The Philippines value system way supersedes what I see here in my own family and here in America.
What is that? Very good.
With safety, where is my daughter most likely to be the safest? You're not safe anywhere in today's world. I understand the world is ugly no matter where you're at. We learn to deal with it and learn to accept certain things no matter where we are. But the illusion of safety, it does help ease a little bit of the anxiety and the pressures of today's world. If I was going to have her in a country where I don't worry about the things that I see being a big issue, where would I want her to spend the rest of her life at? Potentially. And I really do want her to explore, but when she's ready to understand, comprehend everything that's going on around her, because there's so much at stake that you don't want to mess these moments up. You only get a chance one time to go through some of these things.
Now, the next part is very important. They're going to take you.
Things that have worried me over the last 10 years here in America, the things that I see. When my eldest daughter right now, she's 24, when she was a teenager, things that worried me then, they worry me now, but much worse, because things have gotten worse. Borders that aren't closed, people coming across the borders by the millions. Who is out there? Where are the predators of the world, so to speak? Predators are everywhere, and believe me, I know the Philippines is no safe spot. But the things that I worry about, I don't worry about as much as in the Philippines as I do here in America. Road rage, hostile people everywhere you go, things that can go wrong in schools.
I saw what you did at the party. You kissed Miguel.
Do I worry about these things in the Philippines? There's certain things I don't worry about in the Philippines. I don't worry about gun violence in the Philippines. It happens, but I don't worry about it in the Philippines. Sure, am I a little, ignorant to some of it? Let's keep it simpler for a minute. If my daughter was going to walk around a city street in 10 years, would I feel safer with her walking through the streets of Dumaguete? Or would I feel safer walking down the streets in Louisville? Would I feel safer walking down the streets of New York, Los Angeles, anywhere, Atlanta, Miami, any of the big fancy cities everybody hears about all around the world? Although I don't know why she would be in these cities. But even our own city here in Kentucky, Louisville. Would I feel safe with my daughter walking around the street in Louisville? I don't feel safe walking around the street in Louisville. I feel okay. I feel like I can take care of myself, but I don't feel safe. I know what's all around me. Louisville has gang problems. Louisville has drug trade. Louisville has a lot of things going on. And I know, so does the Philippines. But you don't hear about it the same way. And it ain't the same type of people doing the same crime. Petty crime, small crime. You don't hear about a whole lot of murder going on in the Philippines on a large scale. You do here in America. You hear about it on a very big scale. So while I know there's drugs everywhere, and there's drugs, you ain't gonna stop it. But where do you feel safer? Do you see a lot of drug addicts walking through the streets of Dumaguete or any major city? Do you see a lot of them? Do you see entire streets filled with homelessness and drug addicts all at the same time? I've lived in both places and I haven't seen it to the extent I see it here in America. Again, I'm going to feel much safer with my daughter in the Philippines. It's not even a close decision. It's a very easy decision. Now, you've got to assume that you're raising your daughter to be street smart. You didn't hide her from the world. You didn't tell her that there was no such thing as bad people. You showed her bad people. You showed her the type of things bad people do. You showed her what to look out for, what to think about. That not a whole lot of good comes from being out after 10 o'clock at night. And after 10 o'clock, 11, 12 o'clock at night, there's a different type of crowd that might be out at that time of night. You might want to be careful. I have every intention of teaching her the real world.
8 times 6 equals 48. 8 times 9 equals 72. 7 plus 8 equals 15.
We are homeschooling our daughter. We want to show her the world. We want to show her life outside of a school system for the next 12 years where she's happened to be in the same location year after year for basically 9 months out of the year, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. I'm not doing that to that girl. I've been around long enough to know that that is not the way a child should be educated. You may not agree with me, and that's okay. That's why we have our own opinions in today's life. But if you had the option, you had unlimited funds, you had no worries about financial issues. I do have worries, but that's not one I'm going to let hold me back. Would you really put your kid in a school if you had unlimited funds? You could do whatever you wanted, private school, tutors, any type of education system you wanted. Would you put them in the local school right down the street, or would you do something different? You wouldn't travel? You wouldn't do a different life because you have unlimited funds, remember? Are you just going to have unlimited funds and sit at home year after year, 10, 12, 13 years in a row, 5 days a week, 9 months a year, with all your unlimited funds? You're not going to travel, you're not going to want to do things, you're only going to do those things on summer breaks? I'm old enough now, I don't have any interest in following anybody's guidelines and systems like that. The world is very diverse and there's a lot of ways to educate people in today's world. Living in the Philippines, homeschooling part of the year, I can take her all around the Philippines. She can be taught online, she can be taught through online courses. Testing is so different today than it was in the 70s, 80s, and 90s I grew up in. There's so many more options out there, from private tutor educations. You can get tested as often as you want to get tested. You can check where they're at. You can check if they need to speed up, slow down, they're ahead of the curve. There's many things with homeschooling that I just love that checks all the boxes for us. One, going back and forth. Somebody's going to have to miss the girl. Someone's going to have to not be around her if we're not homeschooling. If we're not homeschooling, somebody's family members, whether it's my side or her side, is not going to get to see this little girl very much. What if we can't go at the time where she's free? What if I'm busy? So to include both families in my situation, homeschooling was a must, or one family will have to go without seeing their granddaughter. So that wasn't an option. So when people say, oh, you shouldn't homeschool or you shouldn't do this, all you're really saying is it's okay that one side of the family doesn't see her. It's okay if she doesn't have bonds with her family because going to a school locally is much more important. Does that even make sense? No, it doesn't. Making sure both families get to see their granddaughter and get to watch her grow up so she can form bonds and have a close connection to both families, that's what's important. I don't fall trapped to following what peer pressure society says. That little girl needs both of her family. She needs to be close to both sides of her family because when she's a teenager and when she's a young adult, the last thing I want to do is look in her eyes and she cries at me. Aunts and uncles don't talk to her. Grandma didn't ever call her. People didn't even check on her. Because she'll know if they did or not by that point. She's too little right now to really understand any of it, and that's a good thing. I still got hope for both sides of the family in the future.
There goes my mind racing. There's you and you are the